Alright, Absolute Batman is absolutely insane. In case if you've been living under a rock, Absolute Batman is an all-new reimagining of the character by Scott Snyder, and it is dark, it is brutal. There are a lot of differences from the Batman we know and love, but enough familiarity. I'm very excited to see how some of these ideas are explored that we don't normally get to see in standard Batman titles. And if you're somebody new who doesn't read comics and is intimidated by the 80-year-long history of the character, you don't need to know any of that. This is a perfect jumping on point. So I'm going to talk about some reasons why you should be excited for Absolute Batman. So my first reason for being excited, I love Elseworld stories. I love seeing Batman in different places, in different settings. I really like that we're going to get to see something like that in an ongoing form. Normally it's kind of just done in a one-shot, and some of those Elseworld stories can leave a little bit to be desired. So it'll be very nice to see where they go with this. This is a first issue, so of course a lot of seeds are planted for things that will show up in future issues, and that's getting into my next point of why you should be excited for this. In this version of Batman, we will get to see the relationship explored between Bruce Wayne and his mother, which is something that, as far as I'm concerned, we've never seen. I don't think there's ever been a Batman who has had his parents still alive. And so I'm very interested to see what they plan on doing with that relationship. Another thing I'm really excited for is the relationship with Alfred. So something I was a little bit concerned about going into Absolute Batman was Alfred being a spy and not being Bruce Wayne's butler. I really like Alfred as a butler. I like that it's heavily implied he was formerly a badass and is now just serving tea and making snarky remarks. Like, to me, that's my Alfred. I didn't watch Pennyworth. I'm not necessarily interested in seeing him as a spy. However, I really, really like what they're doing in this particular story. As the issue opens up, we have a new threat on the streets of Gotham, a gang called the Party Animals, and they are just massacring the streets. So Alfred, enlisted by some unknown British organization, he has some talking head that we don't know the identity of this person, and he's just given orders to monitor and observe the Party Animals, do not engage. However, he gets note that there's another person who's also engaging the same target, and he does have permission to use force against him. And so that's where we get our clash between Batman and Alfred, and it's actually really, really cool because Alfred is like this seasoned veteran type, and then Batman is a new guy who's just been training hard. He's a young 24-year-old worker, and he's just been training hard to become a vigilante. And it's insane because they start out as rivals, but you can see with Alfred that there's kind of a respect growing as he watches Bruce and he sees how he's trained and he figures him out. I think it'll be really cool to see this Alfred develop into a father figure over time, since this Batman is lacking a father figure. He still does have his mother in his life, but he is lacking a father figure. So I think over time we will see this Alfred sort of grow into that role. Obviously, this Batman does not come from money. His father was a teacher. His mother is a social worker, so he did not have a butler. However, I think that this is going to be a very interesting dynamic. Even if we see them at odds for a little bit, there's a respect growing, and I'm very, very intrigued. So that's a point. That's a point. I was nervous, and I'm giving you the point. Another thing I was nervous about was Batman's use of an axe, because for me, I'm a purist that, like, I love Elseworld stories, and I hate it when they go too far and they cross the line into Batman killing territory. because I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see Batman brutally killing people. And I think it just completely betrays everything the character stands for, and I feel like the best Elseworlds stories are the ones that keep the core essence of the character alive while putting him in a new setting and just being molded by a new environment, and that's what we have right here. This Batman was raised in Crime Alley. His childhood friends were his rogues gallery. He's hanging out with Killer Croc at Croc's gym. He's talking to him about playing cards with Harvey and Eddie. And this Batman is like 6'6". This guy is a brute. And so he's learned to fight in a different way. So it looks like this Batman still holds those principles, still does whatever he can to avoid death. But he's not going to make it easy for these guys. He's going to make it clear that he doesn't like them and he wants them to suffer. I'll just put it that way. So yeah, there is a lot to be excited about in Absolute Batman, and those are just a few things I wanted to touch on that I'm really excited for. So let me know if you've read it, what you think. Are you excited about the changes they made? Do you just want to stick to normal old Batman? To me, I like seeing alternate takes, so I'm really excited to keep picking this up as it comes out. And maybe once we get to issue 6, I'll do a bit of a review around the time a trade paperback comes out, because that might be a good time for some of you who aren't really into comics to pick it up, because seriously, if you've been interested in comics and you don't know where to start, pick up a copy of this book. If it's sold out at your LCS, don't pay eBay prices. Wait for a second printing, support your LCS, and then maybe once it cools down a little bit, you can get a first printing for a reasonable price. But right now, don't overpay for this book. There will be a second printing on the racks soon enough, so just do yourself a favor and read this. This is some of the best stuff that's been coming out. I've been a big fan of a lot of the Batman books that have come out this year. There have been a lot of cool Elseworld style stories, but nothing has gripped me like this since the beginning. I read that issue a couple times and I really just want to read it again. Just the way that the panels are laid out, the way that the story is paced. And I really just want you to experience this for yourself. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and I hope that maybe I encouraged a few people to head out to their comic shop and check it out. So anyways, thank you for checking out this video. I appreciate you all. Go read some cool stuff.